So welcome everybody. That we record the session today so that we can send it out to members that couldn't make it, who are really interested in being part of the conversation we're going to have today, and so that we also can have note taking as well. So yeah, welcome everybody. If you So just as a bit of an introduction, we're the Co-Production Network Wales. Today is one of our CoPro conversations. It's a really important one for us today because it's a chance for us to talk about membership. I know that many of you have been members probably longer than I've been member of the Co-Production Network, or were probably really involved in the early days of setting up the Co-Production Network. But we've grown significantly during the time that we've existed. We have now over 1,300 names on our individual membership list, as well as a great group of team champions and team members and alumni from all of our trainings and other things. And we want to make sure that as we look at the membership, that we keep refreshing it, keep looking at how it works. Is it working for you? What's the conversations that you want to be having? And how do we co-produce what we offer within the resources that we have as a membership? So today is an opportunity for us to have a bit of that conversation. It's not the end of the conversation. It's the beginning or continuation of the conversation that we've been having. Bethany's going to give a bit of an outline of where we're at now, and then we've got a couple of prompts where we'll go into, if there's enough of us on the call, breakout rooms and have quick chats about those prompts. We've got plans to think about how we carry on that conversation going on in the future. There's quite a few of us on the call, so if you could just, as a means of introduction, please say hello. I know that a couple of you already said hello on the chat, but once you get into breakout rooms, you'll actually get to talk to each other as well a bit. So yeah, I'm going to hand over now to Bethany so she can give you a bit of a picture of where we're at on membership right now.
Great. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Gwendolyn. I'm just going to share my screen. One of those classic phrases that you say on every Zoom meeting. If you bear with me 1 second. Right. So in just a second, you're going to see my PowerPoint slides. I will make them full screen so they fill your screen properly. It's thinking about it. There we are. Can everybody see, or at least a few of you give me a sort of a thumbs up if you can see that on your screens? Should say our membership offer. Can see one there. Lovely. Do let me know in the chat if you can't. We will be sending this presentation out to you afterwards anyway, so you should be able to see everything that you need to. Great. So yeah, like Gwendolyn said, I'm just going to give a very swift overview of where our membership offer is currently. So with the view that what we have now, we are going to work together to co-produce the next chapter of that. So our membership offer. So obviously we have a few things that we want to focus on. Why have we got this membership? The purpose of the membership is to make sure that you can be a part of a supportive network of people, organizations who are passionate about co-production. Clearly you all are, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So that's great. Thank you for coming. The idea is to share ideas and learn from others. That's what co-production is, right? Just by hearing what works well and learning from people's different experiences. And that's kind of what today is about, is sharing those experiences and learning from them. You also, as a member, get to access useful resources, training and events that we hold as a network. And obviously we give you guys signposting to other things that would be helpful as well. So that's kind of the aim of the membership offer that we have. We also work together with partners to develop better ways of designing and improving services. Obviously, you all know this. This is co-production at its core. Keep people with lived experience at the heart of what we do. And for a lot of you, that is what you're doing. You are people with lived experiences. We all have lived experiences, and we're working together as a network of members to make a difference. And then lastly, to stay connected to new ideas and developments in the co-production sphere. So we hope as members that you also get that out of it. that you feel sort of on the pulse of what's going on. We build a community of practice with our membership. So as members, we want to offer you a space to share, to learn, to problem solve collaboratively. Obviously, co-pro conversations are one of the ways that we do that. So hopefully from this session, we are going to build many more sessions, having an active conversation with each other about various aspects of co-production. We've also got Circle, our online platform, which I'm sure you're all aware of if you are a member. The online community platform is where we use our e-learning services. It's also a platform where people can speak to each other, post opportunities and things like that. It's like a social media platform, which we're using kind of solely for co-production and things like that. So we've obviously got two branches of membership. You're aware of this. Individual membership is and always will be free forever. That's why I put the word forever in there. It's open to anyone and it gives you access to useful resources and discounts on some of the online e-learning courses. Many of you have taken advantage of that with our Fundamentals of Co-Production course and our Co-Production and You 12-week e-learning course. Quickly, the benefits of that membership. Obviously, you get opportunities to work and connect with other members and learn from shared practice, access to information and resources, training sessions, themed webinars, much like this one, being part of a movement and bringing a collective voice to influencing policy and decision making. That's a really big one. That's kind of the dream, the aim, the goal, the overarching idea that we want out of the membership. Then, of course, we've got on the other side team membership. So this is organisations that are subscribing to the membership offer that we have there. This is obviously priced in a certain way depending on the size of the organisation. But out of that, you get to nominate champions. You get to nominate up to, I think, about 20 champions, might be a bit more. Within that, there is champions training, different training sessions based on very specific parts of co-production, helping to build that knowledge. We also hold the Ask an Expert sessions as part of that. So every quarter, one of the lab consultants runs a session and team members can bring along their own co-production problem or questions or queries or suggestions. And as a group, then we can discuss that and bring some kind of meaning out of that going forwards. So that's the team membership. The training, of course, I have just touched on it a little bit. We've got many different kinds of training, different levels. The co-production and You course, of course, is a 12-week course with an assignment at the end, really delves into things, very collaborative. You have Fundamentals of Co-Production, which is obviously a more self-led, solitary piece of training, but it's a really good way to set the foundation. The champions training I've just explained. And then you've got our knowledge base. So the online repository of resources, podcasts, toolkit, case studies, research papers, they're all on the website and open to members to access at any time. Thought it might be worth just including this sort of overall strategy that we have. So this is kind of what we have in mind when we think of creating a network of members. We want to encourage people to do co-production across all types of services and policy in Wales, and provide that training to upskill them and empower them to do so. Connect people. Obviously, we're a network. Connection is really at the core of what we're doing. The impact. So we want to show the difference that co-production can make, providing evidence and supporting those doing it to share their story. We're all about sharing what you as members are doing. We do that through our newsletter and through our comms as well. And lastly, we're looking to influence. We want to look at the roles different players, structures and spaces make and play and really enable and support them to make that difference and that change that they are looking to do. So that's an overall look at where we are with co-production and our membership at the moment. So the idea is that we want to take this membership give the reins to you and have you let us know what's working, what's not working, what might help in the future, what you feel you're getting out of it, or what you'd like to get out of it in the future. So that's kind of how today's going. Obviously, Gwendolyn's kind of told you how the structure is going to go. So it's a small group discussion. We're going to put you into breakout rooms, and there are 4 different prompts that we have come up with to kind of help you structure that conversation. We will give you about 15 minutes to look at 2 different prompts. And we'll do that twice over so that we can have a discussion and a little bit of feedback afterwards. After we've had that discussion, then we'll talk about the next steps and what that means going forward. Because, of course, as we know, with all co-production ventures, it's never one conversation. We want to keep that going. Yes, lovely. So, Gwendolyn, do you want me to, have you popped the join Mentimeter into the chat?
I have. So there's a link and then a code in the chat, and then I've also put in the first 2 prompts as well there. So if people are able to access Menti, then you can join there, and actually your comments and ideas and thoughts can be directly added to our lovely presentation, and people will see that. But also, if people can't, please do feel free to pop things in chat. And as I say, we're once we come back, we'll do some feedback, and we're recording it, so we'll also have your recording of it as well. So there are multiple ways to contribute. But yeah, the Mentimeter's link is in the chat, and the first 2 prompts as well.
Lovely. So just to go through those 2 prompts, first of all, just before we do go into breakout rooms, we will not be in those breakout rooms, by the way. So it's a safe space for you to chat, to really get into the nitty-gritty of things, and then we'll feedback as a group afterwards. So the first prompt will be, what do you value most about being part of the co-production network for Wales? And the second will be, what's missing or what would make membership more useful to you? So we're going to start with those 2 prompts. I hope they're inspiring to you, but we can elaborate on that in the discussion. So, Gwendolyn, are you happy to set up?
I'm just setting them up. You should be invited. There'll be about 2 or 3 of you in a room each. If there's any issues, just come back to the main room and we can hopefully help out. Me and Bethany are not the most technical people in the world, but we will try our hardest to help out as much as possible. Or Google the answer is the other one. But yeah, you should be all now being invited into the rooms, hopefully. Brilliant. Yeah,
Lovely. Okay, so I hope you had some good discussions. Do feel free. I've seen that some of you have made use of the Menti, and thank you very much. And there's stuff continuing to come through. If anything comes to your mind as we're speaking as well, you can just carry on. Please do just add your thoughts as and when they come to you. Failing that, if you don't want to use the Menti, you can absolutely put things in the chat as well. So anything is really useful. But I wonder if I could call on maybe a representative of each group to just give an overview or any highlights of some feedback that you'd like to give. We'll go through the prompts one by one, I think. So the first prompt, of course, was, what do you value the most about being part of the co-production network for Wales? So group 1. Anybody from group 1, would you like to give us an overview of what you guys discussed?
We both agreed on what we discussed, but seeing as you can't see me, I'll let my co-conspirator tell you what we came to an agreement on.
Okay, co-conspirator is a good word.
So I was the co-conspirator, and it was lovely to chat to Chris, even though it's it's always lovely to see the Newport Transporter Bridge, even if I can't see Chris. But we talked about, so what we value is actually, in summary, it's to get together with other people who are experiencing the same thing throughout Wales, but particularly for us, coming to the event that you put on in Cardiff Bay was brilliant for both of us in different ways. And we wanted to say I might get kicked out by my own laptop as well in a minute, but also, could you do that again? And we're quite happy to bring our own lunch. You don't have to do a massive catering event and things like that, because it was so useful. Both of us in different ways work with participation as absolutely top of our agenda, and the different experiences we have, different but also sometimes really quite negative, and just to come together with other people who are also getting through that is so that's what we value. Both of us value that enormously. And what's missing, actually, Chris, you did say, so I was just like, no, co-production ways is perfect, I've got nothing to say on number 2. So Chris, can you just say what it was you wanted to say for the second bit?
All I said was we really need to get together more. So basically it was, I thoroughly get so much more out of meeting people from all sorts of places. The people I chatted to at the last get together were amazing. And gosh, I'm going back to when I attended one of the first meetings, which was back in Wrexham University many, many years ago. And I drove my team up from Newport to Wrexham, and I've just found you so useful since then. I've been using what I've learned from you with a group that I'm with, which is called Impact Improving Adult Care Together, and they've pulled me onto their co-production team last year. So I'm one of the 2 Welsh representatives on a multi-UK team, and it's fantastic. And so thank you, and can we have more get-togethers?
Oh, that was really, really lovely. Thank you so much for sharing. It was so lovely to see. I mean, Louise, the smile on your face just made me, it really warmed my heart.
I'm smiling. I'm nodding.
I'm sure you are, Chris. The bridge is smiling at me. But yeah, thank you so much for that. That's brilliant. Yes, getting together there's never it's never a bad idea, is it? So definitely I've taken a big note here and put a big circle around that. Lovely, thank you so much. Group 2, is anybody willing to give us a little overview of what you thought? You can cover both prompts if you like, as we did just then.
I have no idea what Group 2 was. I didn't even think of Group 2. Does anybody think of themselves as Group 2? You said you should keep a note of what group you're in so that you can.
Sorry, I didn't.
I don't think it really matters, as long as we get you get an opportunity to feedback from each group. If you don't remember which group you're in, just, I think, feedback. It's what you say is more important than what number group you were.
Well, good. Because Tanya will have something to. She had the Mentimeter, so she was trying to help with that. But I don't like things like that. There's enough to try and get into Zoom, and so. But the thing is, for me, I live in England, and another lady, and I've been involved with the network for a long, long time, and it's been very important to me. For help and support with what the hell is co-production, etc., etc. And I'm a self-employed lived experience person, and I live in Worcester, and I'm part of Building Together, which is a co-production network for adult social care, which has just, it's established itself, and now in England, we're forever being reorganised. I think actually Wales has a bit of reorganisation as well, but in England, so we've went from we were local authorities and districts and all that sort of stupid structure, but it would be really helpful and we had a lady from Cornwall who was her first meeting coming to this as well. So. And then we had Tanya, who was our only Welsh, and she's not born in Wales, so she's not a proper Welsh person. So sorry to say, I shouldn't say that. Isn't that shocking? Anyway, that was her own description of herself. And what I'm trying to say is, our main issue was, can we try and get your support to have a co-production network for England? And because building on the way you operate, which I think is really good, and I know everything costs money, which is your which is why I thought you were looking at membership, and I thought you're going to charge English people to join, which really bothered me, which is why I started to come in. But so yeah. Anyway, does Tanya want to say something?
Oh yeah, thank you, Mary. Yeah, somebody's put in the comments there. I'm proper Welsh. I do feel like I'm proper Welsh. I've been here almost half my life, so I can consider myself proper Welsh now. I think, yeah, I agree. I think the links between other networks, I think, is missing, especially for the part of Wales that we're in. We're so close to England, and a lot of our services do cross border, so it'd be great to be able to kind of have those links. But the first question was what's good about it. I just think the what's good about it, although we don't have those official links between networks, we do have the membership and so many people from so many different organizations and different experiences that bring to the group ideas, and the resources is just endless. Honestly, it would take a lifetime to get through the resources. It's amazing what's there. So I'm actually just did the course, so I'm in the middle of trying to do the assignment, the slides now. And you can go down a rabbit hole with them. We really can. Possibly a little bit too much. Be great. Maybe you're thinking now, just off the top, having said that, be great if it was organized, maybe the resources into kind of types.
That's a really good suggestion. Lovely. Sorry, I'm note taking and speaking at the same time, which is ill-advised. So lovely. That was really, really interesting to hear from you. So I just wanted to pick up on something that Mary said just before about support for other networks, and obviously what Tanya said as well, the cross-border element of things, and how we can support networks and alike. What in your view, what does supportive membership look like? Mary or Tanya, what does that look like to you?
It's about sharing. I'm absolutely adamant that we don't want to take you over. Of course we don't. You do really good stuff. And England has got so many more people, etc., and that's in our heads that we are. But we don't want to do any of that. We want to have sharing from you as to what you do, which hopefully, because at the moment we're in England, we have so many different networks and they're not talking to each other, as always. That's partly through, you are so lucky to be so small as a country, do you know? And I think you don't realise how lucky you are from that respect. I know it's difficult and complex and all the rest of it, but I learned so much from how you do things as a devolved health and social care organisation or whatever. I just think we need to be clear what you do and how you do it, and then share that information, and hopefully don't worry about being taken over, for heaven's sakes. That's what I would like to say.
Lovely. Thank you, Mary. Diana, you've got your hand up, I can see.
Yeah, I just cheekily wanted to respond slightly to that, and then I'll give. I was in a group with Carol, so Carol might want to add to what I say, but there are plenty of networks in Wales which have non-Welsh members to them. It's quite a natural thing for us to do in Wales, so I think you're pushing an open door, Mary, as far as I know. But the reason that Carol and I were describing the real importance of the network in our experiences to what I'm going to call filling gaps. So, we're trying to do stuff, it isn't working. We know that we can come into a session with you, we can grab one of you, we can go into the knowledge base, and we can solve that and have another go and find that we're actually singing again. And that process is really, really helpful. In terms of what we would want to make it more useful, we actually did it the other way around. We talked more about how can we get other people to understand how important it is and to join in. So we were talking about the fact that the free membership really helps because we can get a few colleagues involved under the free membership, and then we've got a little group of us who can sort of talk to the organisation and go, well, actually, there's really something in this. So we just talked about that and other good things from the knowledge base as well. So I don't know if you want to add anything, Carol, but it was a great conversation.
Yeah, no, it's really useful. And I think I work a lot with researchers, and they have a remit through the funding to involve the public, and they sometimes get incredibly frustrated with the meetings that they hold with the public. And both Diana was saying, the knowledge base, the resources. If we can point more people to look at the resources, to utilize them, they'll have less frustrating and much better meetings. But obviously, it's got to be in a way that doesn't deplete resources without providing something back to the organisation itself, because it is incredibly useful. I'm really pleased to hear a lot of that you're finding the resources helpful. What I'm kind of hearing echoing a little bit, correct me if I'm wrong, is maybe structuring that access to it a little bit better and highlighting certain parts of those resources, because it is an overwhelming catalogue. So I've just made a note of that, in that maybe access and promotion of what we offer as an organisation as part of that membership could maybe be better. So we can have a chat going forwards about that, I'm sure. Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to add anything from those two prompts that we've talked about?
Katie's popped up.
Yes, we've got Katie up there. Lovely.
Yeah, the only other thing is similar to those other conversations, but the only other thing to add really is, like, we sort of picked up the resources, is like it's really great to have this access. And like you said, around structuring those, categorizing those, but I think on a wider scale as well, a bit more on how to navigate like the network site. Because I find myself when I'm trying to look for things that, like, I don't know if it's me just not understand, like me not navigating it properly, but then sometimes I can't find necessarily what I'm looking to achieve, and I'm looking through different sort of tabs on the network site. But yeah, it's maybe a bit more of a session like this or something like that where we can sort of ask questions around navigating the site. And then the only other thing to add as well, in terms of again, sort of other points that were made, is that, like, we touched on, Bethany, I think you mentioned at the beginning around, like, obviously the champion access via the team sort of route. The only thing with that is, I think working with like big organizations, sometimes it's hard to get a whole sort of organization into this and signed up. And I've said I was doing the co-production course, it's all about your own allies and stuff, so I can find my own allies internally. So it'd be great to sort of access, like, on some level, that champion-based training, because I still think it'd be great to be able to have that access as an individual member to go back and still share with colleagues, still share this good practice and knowledge without sort of the overarching commitment from a large organisation to join as a team to be able to enable that to happen. So that's all.
Brilliant. Lovely. Oh, thank you so much, Katie, for that. There's a lot to think about there. And that last suggestion, definitely worth thinking about. Right, I'm just conscious of time. I want to make sure that we have enough time to discuss the next two prompts. I don't want to stifle anybody though, because this is all about you and what you want to say. Is there anything before we move on to the next prompts that anybody would like to add?
Hello?
No, it was a very decisive no. No, well, good. Great. Okay, so
You're done, go.
we
Oh,
all good?
perfect. Thank you so much for doing this. All right, thank you. Have a great day. Thank you.
Anyway, I'm just gonna.
I think she was on the phone.
That's right. Thanks, she was on the phone, so I'm just gonna give her the privacy. Lovely. I'm gonna hand over to Gwendolyn, who's gonna go through the second two prompts, and we're gonna do this once more. So you may not be in the same groups as before, but I think that's a good thing. Gwendolyn, I'll hand over to you, and then I'll set it up when you're.
To be honest, I think we've already started the conversation a little bit with the kind of some of the suggestions that are coming through. But I think what we're really interested in hearing your sort of creative ideas of where we can go next, really. So the questions which Bethany's going to put in the chat this time around, we're tag teaming well here, are about like how can the network better support you, both as individuals and teams, and if you could influence one change in our future membership offer, what would it be? But I'm thinking, obviously we're limited by resources, but let's think we're not. Do you know what I mean? Let's think that we could, let's be imaginative and broad and think that we could design something today that we could build in the future and where we want to go. So yeah, it would be really great just to hear sort of where would you like us to go this year, next year? Where, if we had a magic wand, what would that be? Again, you can link in with the mentee, but please, don't feel that you have to. Just collect the conversations. We'll come back. We'll probably have a little bit shorter just because we're running out and the conversations have been so fruitful so far. But yeah, if we pop the questions in the chat, and then we'll go into breakout rooms. The room that's in, I know a few people had to leave early, so I think we might have had a few drop-offs and maybe a few people come in, so it's fantastic to see. But yeah, so it's exactly the same as last time round. Again, it doesn't matter what number your group was, but we just love to hear some of the conversations you've been having, some feedback from each of the rooms. I know some of you might have been the same people, some with new people. So yeah, any of your thoughts about what could we do better in the future, or what would be the one thing you'd like us to be doing? Anybody want to come first on that?
I can have a go if you like.
Then it'd be great.
So a couple of things for me. One is that I'm becoming clearer and clearer that I would really feel the benefit if you were able to advertise some of my offerings aside of your offerings without having to say they're from somebody else, just like a free resource, because especially the 1 hour course, but other things. So that's a thought that I had talking to Mary just now, which I think is firming up in my mind that would actually help lots of people as well as me. And then the other thing is, I'm just wondering, because we haven't done it for a while, but we used to have a network of networks meeting. So we used to have a circular meeting where yourselves, Mindfulness Wales, the IDG team, or whatever it was called before it was called that, all came together and just met once a month for an hour just to like weave it together. And I just wonder whether that would be good. And I'd be happy if you want to lead that, but I'd be happy to do that from my end if that's helpful. But yeah, so those are the two thoughts that I've had. And it was just lovely to speak to Mary. Yeah.
You're on mute, Mary.
Yeah, it was really interesting to talk to Diana, and I think working with the devolved government is really it would be really good. I know you don't want to be political. I'm sure you don't want to be political, but how? And I'm not quite. And I didn't mention this tonight. It just came a thought to me. How we learn from the work of the we in England, because I'm and also internationally. I mean, let's get broader, and there are so many good things going on. Okay, I know there's some not so good things, but that's the case everywhere. And so, like an international, which would include and Scotland, and little profile would be really helpful.
Yeah, we were just chatting that when you were in the groups, actually, thinking like we've got some great sister organisations in Scotland. I've been to some things that are happening in France and in Belgium, which would be great to learn from. And so yeah, if we can do some convening, that sounds fab. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted. Somebody was coming in then, I think. Is there anything from any of the other groups that people would like to share?
Myself and Chris talked about the wider understanding of what is co-production, because both Chris and myself we've discovered that we've worked with carers and carers organisations, and one of the problems historically was that people didn't recognise themselves as carers. So there we are, putting organisations put out all this information in doctors' surgeries. Are you a carer? But nobody was kind of identifying with the word. And I think there's a problem with co-production. When I speak to researchers, I work with the Wales Cancer Research Centre and other organisations. Researchers, they have to involve people, but involving people and co-production are not necessarily joined in their mind when they're thinking about it, and the skills that you need. But you know, brings me back to what I spoke about with Diana. So I think there's a thing about, you know, I was thinking about what's my elevator pitch when somebody says, well, what is co-production? What does it mean? And actually, even I struggle to get a sentence out and go, well, it's that, you know. And I thought, well, maybe something more around what actually is co-production in a nutshell, and why is it useful? And I know that we should all know that, but actually, when I speak to people, I am so surprised and shocked about how many people go, what's co-production? And when I speak to support groups and people, and they said, would you like to get involved? They're frightened of it. You know, it's like, oh, do I have to walk into a room? What does that mean? And so I think something about making co-production a buzzword that everybody understands and knows. I think, Chris, have I covered everything there?
Most everything, I think, yes. But what I found was, thanks to the training that I've had from the Co-Production Network, is that I've been invited along to University of Birmingham to be on their co-production advisory group, which is fantastic. I joined that part last year. It's a part of Impact, which is improving adult care together. And I'm one of two of the Welsh representatives on that group. But I'm doing an awful lot of PPIE work, which I wouldn't have been able to do without the training from co-production, because what Carol was saying was, some people are scared to go in. Now that I've got some knowledge, I'm much more confident to go into these meetings. So I've actually been working with Swansea, Birmingham, universities in Dublin, and universities in Scotland, and universities in Southampton, all over the place, including my local one. So just thank you, and can we do more of it? I'll shut up now.
No, that's great. No, don't, please don't. Well, although I'm aware that we've just hit 1 o'clock, and this was supposed to go only on to 1 o'clock, and I'm sure some people have to leave. I'm just going to say, is there anything else anybody wants to add before I start to wrap us up swiftly? I'm going to take that moment of silence, as that nobody else wants to. Okay, but please, this is not the last time to have a part of this conversation. As we said at the beginning, we are going to be working on this. We will be sending out this recording and the presentation, which will have the questions in. So if there's things that you walk away with and think, oh, I should have said this, just please either add it there, there'll be a survey, or just get in touch with me or Bethany, to be honest, you know, hello and you come through to us. So that's absolutely okay. And then we are also thinking of looking at how we can set up an advisory group, and again we'll be coming out to members to talk about how we do that and how that works, so that we can keep this conversation live throughout the time. Mary, you've stuck your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you very much for doing this, because when it said about membership, I thought, oh, they're going to say we've got no money, we're going to have to charge you for your time and all that stuff. So it was, I'm so pleased I did come and didn't get worried about it, because I don't have to, which is lovely. And I've met some really interesting people, as usual. And I just wanted to say thank you. And also, one of the ladies from Cornwall was from the private sector, residential care, and it's, you know, where people fits into things is really complicated, and it's good to, sorry, I should stop now. It's time to go.
Yeah, I'm just aware of people needing to go, but no, that's really useful. And the private sector connection is interesting. And we, in our last conference that we were able to do a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we had some private sector social care stuff. So it's bringing some of that in, because obviously that is a key area now in delivery. But yeah, really useful conversation. I think me and Bethany are like firing on all cylinders with lots of ideas and having some realizations from the conversation we've had. As I say, we will send an email round so that everyone has what we've talked about today and also how we can carry on this conversation going forward. But thank you so much, everybody, for being part of this conversation, and thank you so much for contributing such rich information. And yeah, we look forward to being in touch and carrying on this conversation with you. And I hope everyone can go and have a moment of some sunshine that's not too hot. Or an ice lolly in the cool somewhere, because yeah, it's hotting up today. I'm even in Wales, we haven't had rain for so long. But yeah, lovely to see you all, and we'll see you soon.